Well, hello world, welcome to Raccoon Point Studios. I'm Sean Bombs, and today I want to go over the reasoning for my SSL controllers in the order that they are in, and just how this enhances my workflow and how I use them every day as far as right now. Things change, workflow changes depending on what you're doing. For most of the time, this is how I am using it. I will start going from the left to the right. So I have the UF1 on my left side, because if I was to have it on my right side where the hand is usually resting on my trackball, means I will never use the transport because I'll end up just hitting the spacebar with this hand. That's what I've been doing for a long time. So if I want to use that, the jog wheel, any of these buttons over here, then I'm probably not going to use them if they're on this side, because I'll be just going back and forth between the mouse, and especially if I'm editing stuff, it just doesn't make sense. First thing I do when I open everything up and I'm about to start my day is I put this on the focus right here, and that means I can open up any plugin that I don't have in the 360 link and adjust using this knob. After I set that up, then I hit this and I put on my meter, which is, all my templates now have the meter already ready to go, and I just put them on the master because I tend to not put anything on my master out. Everything goes on a separate aux usually, but I do have this channel strip on here just so I could have solo safe if I want it for this, even though I do use solos on that. But if I'm working strictly on here at the time, messing with some certain things, and I want to solo it real quick, I can do it here as long as I have all my buses in solo safe. So the reason I have the channel strip, the UC1 in front of me, is because more often than not, I am going to be adjusting EQ, compression, a gate, or any of that stuff. I want that in front of me, and also the scroll wheel. I can see the channels. If I'm using this to do everything, then I can just simply move through here and I can see, and I get a full readout of whatever I name them, as opposed to the UF8. Either way, I'd rather have this in front of me because there's a lot more knobs. It's easier to see this screen. There's so much more things that I have to control on this than there are on the UF8 and even the UF1. All right. The reason I have the UF8 on my right is because it is near the mouse, and if I am adjusting stuff, then I'm not messing with the mouse at that time. I am adjusting levels. I might be putting something into automation. I might be picking a send over here, flipping the faders, and then I'm doing rides for things like delay throws, reverb throws, or adjusting volumes very slightly, or whatever kind of automation I need to do. So that's why that's on that side. Often I will have my selects in record mode, so I just usually have that ready to go, and this automatically opens up just on VPOT with nothing, so I always just boom, turn on number one, which is the things I use day in and day out. I really haven't gone to all these other soft keys because honestly I don't feel like it's necessary for me, because I've been doing this for long enough that I remember most of my shortcuts that I have for things that I do day in and out. So these are things that make it easy for me. If I don't even know if I have anything on here. No, this is just a beat I was working on, so I don't have markers, but if I did, instead of doing the number dot thing over here on this, I can just hit next or previous, and that makes it quick, and it makes it easy for if I have a client with me too, because they can just say, oh no, that next part, boom, and then I just hit that, so I don't have to go which number, you know what I'm saying? So it makes it easy for me on that. I also have latch and XOR for the solo function. That way, when I'm comparing things, I don't have to hit two solos at the same time, and then you hear something doesn't turn off at the same time and you get this loud and all that stuff. So it makes it easy to compare things really quick when I put it in the XOR function, and that way I can A/B stuff very fast and don't have to worry about any kind of overlap messing with my hearing. And then I have my new playlist right here, and that is invaluable to me. In Pro Tools, you can turn on do not ask to rename your new playlist, and that's what I do. And that way I can just hit new playlist. I don't have to worry about naming it because it's already named, and I just have the numbers going. And then I have my clip gain, which my clip gain line, which I use for breaths here and there, or just pulling everything down. And maybe I might have a bunch of edits, but I want to pull the whole clip down a little bit because maybe it's just hotter than I want it to be for certain things, or maybe I have like preset plug-in chains and I want to hit them exactly the way I want to hit them. Then I can use my clip gain, bring it down to hit it the way I want to hit it and see how it sounds, and there you go with that. And then return to 0 and end is... honestly, I think I might have had something else there before, but I have recently changed computers in here, so I just haven't changed that particular thing yet. But it's also the furthest away from me, so it's things that I don't use that often. You know what I'm saying? So I try to have the things that I use the most closest to me. I do have number 3 to turn on and off plugins. So you see I just turned on and off the meter plugin. So it just remembers the last thing you opened and or closed. You know, I like the UAD bus comp, but after I did a little bit more back and forth listening, I think what the differences were not enough to make or break things for me. I think the thing with the UAD was it automatically like defaults to add some gain. So I think I was getting loudness bias basically. So, you know, I would compare them. I'm like, it sounds so much deeper and, you know, fuller, but it was really the levels and the RMSs and all that stuff weren't the same. So once I messed around with this, then I started to say this is just as, you know, just as good. I haven't done a scientific, you know, I haven't deep dived into it to like really test, but in a quick analysis, you know, a quick A/B, I was like, no, this is good enough, and I want my meters to show right there. I think it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. That's all I gotta say about that. But yeah, that's why I have these the way that I have them. Now, I'm a person that had the Avid S3 and the dock. The S3 and the dock together seem like a dream team, but it's really cumbersome because you either have to have the dock on your left-hand side or you have to have it on your right-hand side. And if you have the dock on your left-hand side, then your faders are even further away from you than this thing is. And if you have the dock on your right-hand side, for me, I'm not going to reach for it because it's too far away from me. I have my mouse here. I have all my key commands that I already know. I'm just not going to reach for that touch screen either. So if I have a bunch of stuff on there, it just doesn't make sense. And the knobs, it was just too far of a reach. So if I have to reach that far, it's just not going to happen. So the thing with this is everything I can reach without barely moving. I can reach this knob without barely moving. So if I wanted to make this for something else, you know, I could, which I do use it if I want to just scroll through here real quick. But I also have programmed this button right here using a third-party app called Keyboard Maestro, which gives you the ability to map mouse clicks, and you can make them just wherever, like they can be wherever your mouse is. You don't have to predetermine and map it, and then your window doesn't have to be at exactly that spot. So I have a video, I'll link it down below, where I show how I can select the track and have it show up on my UF8 and UF1. So as soon as I go hover over here and just hit this button, it banks everything. It selects whatever it was. I don't know why it did that though. That's the first. There we go. Let me try this. Sample. Boom. So you see it starts at sample, samples here, and all that stuff. Now, because I have record here on, it's not selecting this channel here, but it is selecting it here because I don't have that function on here. So if I turn this back to normal, you see it selected. What I did for that, before I didn't have it selected, before I just had it banked to that and it wouldn't select the track. So I went back in and I added one extra step. Let me see if I can just pull that up real quick. And I added one extra step where it is a mouse click before the other one. So it is just the mouse click which will select the track, and then the one right after that is Control Shift and mouse click, and that's what's going to scroll to track, or scroll bank to selected track, or whatever they call it in Pro Tools, for your controller. So that's how I got around that. I mean, being someone that used Avid controllers for 8 to 10 years, not being able to just have everything bank when you select a track in Pro Tools was cumbersome at first, so that's why I did it the way I did it. So if you want to learn how to do that, I have another video on that, but it's really easy to get lost in a bigger session. This isn't a big session at all, and I also have it so I can solo on here. So if I'm just working, because I already have my buses and everything solo saved, and this is why you should do some kind of template. You can have everything pretty much set up, and then you just don't have to think about it later. The only problem is if you add any tracks, then you will have to go into the 360 software and move that track to wherever you put it in Pro Tools. But that's not the hugest deal. So anyway, so yeah, I want to hear the 808 and hit play. Maybe I want to hear the snare too. So then you have a solo clear. So these are things that are incredibly useful, because if I'm just concentrating on shaping certain things and getting the jive together as a whole, and I need to solo some things out for a second just to hear the relationships, then I can do it right here. I don't have to go, okay, let me go back over here. You know what I mean? So you're leveraging all these things. You know what I mean? So if I'm working here, I have the ability to just concentrate here, solo some things, work around it. I see all the stuff that's in here. I know what I named it, and I can go and just get to work. And then, when I want to kind of level a few things out together, I can come back over here. I can click this where I want it to be. I want to start with the 808, but I want it to, boom, 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 boom. And then I can just do that. So that's that. And then last thing, I guess, is I'm still doing all this stuff with the SSL 360 link, and I just finally did this 1073, and I'm using this gain for that, and I have the high shelf right here, and then I use the gain here and frequency there, and then for the low I went all the way down to the lowest. Just, I don't know, it made the most sense to me. And that's it. That's what I did for that. Instead of having these outputs on anything, I just use the channels gain for everything, So it's, it's pretty cool. And I have it set so these plugins open with it. So that makes me happy that, I can see that stuff if I need to. You just have to get your muscle memory with certain things, because it is not the channel strip. Now, how often I'm going to use this we'll see, because it's something I have to get used to. But that's why I always still have my knob over here for focusing, because I can just boom, 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 boom. I know wherever I hover, I'm good, and then. So finally, I just want to say what I really love about this whole thing is it's modular. It's 3 different pieces, so for some reason I want to change them around, I can put this right in front of me and have everything a different way totally. Or if I decide I don't want the channel strip anymore, then I can just have these 2 together and still do a lot of stuff that I do. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's modular in a way that I haven't seen any other company do it this way with the functionality that they have provided with their 360 app. So if you got anything out of this, hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the bell. I will see you in the next one. Bye.